When you partner with Axon, you immediately gain access to a full range of products and solutions designed to meet the complex needs of today's grower. We carry all major brands and sizes of tires and wheels. We specialize in large diameter wheels for large equipment. We have one of the largest OEM replacement wheel inventories in North America. Known for extreme flotation setups, duals, and triples, we have wheels for all makes and models of tractors, sprayers, combines, and grain carts. If we don't have the wheel in stock, we'll custom build, sandblast, and paint in-house. There isn't a more vast inventory in North America dedicated to helping dealers move more iron. With facilities on the West Coast and in the heart of the Midwest, leverage our 230,000 square feet of indoor inventory to solve any problem a grower may have. Move more iron with Axon.
Moving iron.
Hello and welcome to Moving Iron Podcast. Got Aaron Fennell back here with me. It's been a little while since the both of us had some free time to sit down and talk about what's happening in the marketplace. So Aaron, how you doing, man?
Good. Swathing, raking, baling, stacking.
Cutting a swath of country across the countryside. Yeah, it's been a little bit, been a busy summer for both of us with everything you got going on, all the stuff I had going on. So getting hooked up was
Summer consists of football camp and haying.
Yeah.
Camps,
not so much
plural.
Not so much in my world. It's not haying. I mean, mowing grass. That's
there you go. Well, but you guys do that professionally.
Yeah, we have a custom lawn care service.
You do. I actually this summer I had 200 feet of my acreage that wasn't fenced in. That was the missing link to let everybody out and yard graze. Do that at the farm. We did it growing up, but not the house yard, right?
Right, of course.
Of course. Right.
But
Captain Half-Ass,
right?
They're not going to bother the house. What do they care? Except the luscious, greenest grass is 6 inches in front of that house. So I fence it all off, and as I know, a lot of the world had one hell of a fly problem in 23.
Yeah.
Let sheep graze in front of the house.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not going to help the situation.
We bought them fly trap bags
by
the case. Funny thing about those fly trap bags, that gross, god-awful smell that they have that attracts all those flies is 157% the smell of dead sheep.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had a couple of those fly bags.
So it only makes sense that they follow around when they're alive,
yeah.
Just in case they fall over dead, because Lord knows they will. Here we go.
Yeah, I was surprised at the whole fly bag issue. Had a couple of those at my house too, and it was. I don't live in the country. I live in the middle of a subdivision in town, and it was like flies were out of control.
But your subdivision does have an alfalfa patch out back.
It does. It does have an alfalfa.
So there you
patch.
go. You have nature.
True, but there are a lot of flies for it to be.
Man, a lot of flies.
Not like they were like feedlot flies. That's the level.
Yeah,
That's what
and the feedlots were dire straits.
Bad.
And I don't mean chicks for free.
No, because they weren't
or
getting
flies
money
for
nothing.
nothing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about.
Yes, we got to move these microwave ovens.
We got to. So what? So I don't know if this was the first one that sold at auction.
No, second.
Is it the second one? Okay, all right. Because it's the only one that I've seen sell, and I was too lazy to go look and see if anything done. But the way I looked at it was, if I didn't see it sell, it didn't happen.
There you go. It really dials life in.
It really does. If I don't see it, didn't happen. Whatever.
What the hell?
So, an X9 1100 sold on a Steffes auction on Monday, the 23rd, so it would have been the 21st.
Yep.
When it sold. And a couple things. One is, I watched a few auctions so far this year, but this is really the first time that I paid as close attention to where the auction value started at and where it finished, and the time in the middle. So I started watching this auction.
That sounds like an analytical trend.
So I was watching this auction, and I watched this thing pop up, and I see it. You know, I knew it closed at like 1 o'clock Central Time or something like that. So I didn't really start paying attention to it until about 11 o'clock, right? Well, at 11 o'clock, I pull this combine up, and I'm watching it sell. And I was also watching a 9900 sell too on that same sale, and both of them had the same thing happen. 2 hours before the auction closed, I'm going off memory here, so forgive me, but I want to say it was at 300,000. 2 hours to go. So I'm thinking like normal auction activity. I'm thinking of 300. We're 2 hours to go. We got 300 in. 75% of that auction value is baked in now, right? We have totally gotten everything, the good out of everything that we've got. 75% in there. This thing's closing at like 400,000. That's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Hour to go. 365. I'm like, oh yep, here it go. Get my 400,000. 30 minutes to go, 375. 20 minutes to go, 405. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to get a little more. And then all of a sudden, just bam, 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 bam. Just one right after another, boom, boom, boom. Puts on about another 100 and between, with an hour to go, put on about $150,000 worth of value.
Right.
Now, the same thing happened with the 9900. I'm watching its sale, and same deal, right? 275. 285, 290, 350. This thing's, but I'm going to be pretty close to my number. Ended up selling for 425. The same thing happened with like 36 minutes to go. It just took off and ran. So first, let's talk about values first. So when I watched the X9 1100 sell for, I think it sold for 502. Going off my top of my head here, I'm trying to remember what it was, but right around there, low fives. It wasn't 505 or something like that. It was a 2020 X9 1100 with tracks, the whole ball of wax, loader to the gills, everything right. It had tracks, it had all the stuff, and it had like 800 and something engine and like 600 and something separator, and it brought 502, which I thought was a good price. I thought that was a good value. I was expecting somewhere between 450 and 500 is kind of what I was kind of thinking, and I really was thinking like 475. Was really what I was thinking in my head.
Right.
So it tells me a couple things. One is that the combine auction value isn't nearly as soft as I thought it would be, because it's that same thing. They had a bunch of 780s on there, so 2022 780s and those kind of things that again were at record dirt. I mean, like 30 minutes to go, we're like 250, and they pack on another couple $100,000 worth of auction value. Same scenario. I mean, it's just weird. So I guess, so what's your take on that? Your take on the value, what's your thoughts?
Okay. I would say the chopper, because that's what we're on right now today, this very minute, chopper season. The chopper was really damn close to puke in your mouth soft.
Yeah.
And that's where choppers are at.
Right.
Which is kind of funny and says a lot for the actual true condition of the crop.
Right.
Because if everything was so drouthy from York, Nebraska to Indianapolis,
right,
it would be Chopper Palooza. That's what happened in 12.
Right.
You had $7 corn, and you had, thank God we don't have a chopper problem anymore.
Right.
More importantly. Oh, by the way, everybody go run and order new shit. That way we can be slugged for 5 years. So the chopper, that market is, all markets are soft. The chopper market is a little extra soft. And that, like I was saying, that says a lot about the crop. And it presents a lot of problems when that specific market, because you're working with such a small group of people.
Right.
When that market is soft, it presents a lot of extra problems. But that's neither here nor there in relation to the auction value. I think the fact that it was an auction, and keep in mind, if you're a local guy buying that chopper in Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota, their territory, when that sells, great.
Right.
It's still hurry the hell up.
Right.
If you're south of I-80, it's too late.
Right. 100%.
So that affects it.
So
the other thing you have is you get back to America's problem with when there's a tractor problem, why? The always permanent combine problem, sprayer problem, the biggest size. You get into the biggest size issue.
right.
And in choppers, I hate to say it because you're dealing with lots of horsepower, but you're splitting hairs because with choppers, it all becomes what's ahead of you.
Right.
What are you doing?
Yep.
Do I need 1,000 horse or is 600 good enough here? You know.
Right.
So
Seems like
you
everybody needs 1,000 horse though.
Well, why not? Shit, if they got her, have at her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The other thing, so I think the chopper was soft. I think there's reasons why. Size, timing, market, emphasis on that market. And that's just kind of where we're at. Also, if you're a 9,000 series chopper buyer, you have your pick of the litter for 99s, 98s, and smaller you don't.
So just one
Which is back into the size problem.
So preference on that when we watch sales. So actually 3 of those machines sold on Monday. One sold on Monday, 2 sold today on Wednesday the 23rd of August. The first one that sold on Monday was something like 78 cutter hours.
Right.
150 engine hours. They had another one that sold today. That one sold for $425. Another one sold today that had, I don't remember how many engine hours it had on, but it had like 165 or something like that cutter head hours on it. That one sold for $427. And then the 9900 that had like 285 hours on it, I believe, cutter head hours on it, sold for $402.
Yeah, I believe so.
Which really shocked me, man, because I'm telling you, I'm watching the first one sell for $425. I'm thinking of these next two just because of there's 100 hours between each one of them. I'm thinking that the $425, this one that's got 167 hours on it or whatever it was, another 100 hours, just because of the number of hours that it's lacking, the number of machines or hours that are there. I mean, you're almost doubling the hours on the machine,
right?
And then you double it again, when you go to the next one. So I'm thinking like that one sold for $425. I'm thinking the second one with 100 more hours on it is $350, $375, and the one that's got another 100 hours on it's like maybe $325.
Well, it goes back to the.
And I was way off.
That's almost like a cold January old school farm sale day. They got 3 wagons lined up. You better buy the first one because they're going to go up, and that's just what happened.
Yeah.
Even though that last one, obviously was less money, dollars per investment.
Yeah. It
was no better buy than the rest. The guy who jumped out first is the guy who won.
So that's the other thing too I was paying attention to. I always like to watch an auction. When I watch an auction, I like to see how many bids came in on that piece of equipment, right? And if it's possible to go back through and kind of how many unique bids came through, right? So how many, you might have
unique is the best one,
right? Because you could have 100 bids, but
two guys each bid
50 bid in time, whatever. You don't have that situation. So when I'm looking at that, I like to watch that from the perspective of how many bids were made and then how many unique bids came across that intersection, which tells a whole different story than the price, right? Because I've seen a lot of them where you have 500 bids on a piece of machinery and it brought just a record low price,
right?
You know what I mean? But I've also seen it where it's had 20 people bidding on it and it brought a record high price too.
It only takes 2.
That's exactly right. So I watched both these go, and what that tells me is that there is some demand for choppers out there that we aren't seeing. Because to have 3 choppers like that, now granted, they bought those choppers. If you go out and look at where those same choppers would be sitting at and advertising those kind of things, you're $100,000 easy off of what retail prices, right?
Easy.
So I mean, there's some of that game in there where they're looking at that, but to have those three machines that are three distinctly different. It's not like you're talking about a 500-hour machine and a 600-hour machine and a 650-hour machine. You're talking about, you're talking about not even complete total. Like one barely had a season of use, one had a year and a half worth of use, and then one had maybe 2 seasons worth of use on a quote unquote normal guy.
You're not seeing that. We're not seeing that market because it takes auction to unleash that market. We have 4-digit cutter hour choppers in that price range, not 75.
Well, that's true.
That is just by dealer pricing standards. That's a $650. That had a $200,000 discount that day. You and I would talk to our banker. But at that point, with that kind of discount, but if they were truly bringing that number, which they're not,
right? But the point I'm making is that how tight those numbers were between those three machines,
right? And that's because
the 2 machines that had a 100-hour part difference between them had $2,000 difference in auction value,
right?
And the machine that had 200 hours more than the lowest hour one had $23,000 difference between the two of them. They did not follow what I would consider to be a normal transactionary flow through an auction. Now, they weren't on the same cell, so that had something to do with it.
Right.
The guys that missed out on the first one probably said, this next one's the best picked, and I'm going to make sure that I get those, or I'm going to bid up to this time
exactly
to get that, right? And then if they missed out on the third one, or the second one, they hit the third one. Because I can tell you that whoever missed out on that first one bid on the next 2.
He bought the second one.
Right. If they missed out and they really were interested in it, either they bought the second one or they were the next best offer. And then they probably ended up buying the third one.
Well, he didn't get that first one. He pulls up his phone and is looking at advertised prices and goes, son of a bitch. Just a couple more dings. We would have had her. And that's why the one with 100 more hours,
right,
he gave a little bit more for, because that was my chopper. Here I am.
I also look at that too, and that's part of me.
The people in this world that are truly so damn stone cold that emotion never ever comes into play when they're buying shit, those people rule the world, man.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Because that is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a magic penciler like me.
Yeah.
I can make anything pencil out.
Oh, sure.
I can sell you 8 combines at $3 corn, and you're gonna make money hand over fist. Watch this.
Yeah, I've never had an Excel spreadsheet not say what I wanted to say.
Right.
But when I look at that too, I also think in the back of my mind that someone somewhere sat back going, I can buy 3 combines, average 400,000, and because the heads went for like 50 some thousand bucks,
right?
9,000, 60,000 bucks, whatever it was.
Which, I mean, that's 2/3 of money.
Yeah, 772 or 772. So the way I look at it was, there also could have been some guy going, you know what? I can buy these 3 machines that have hardly any hours on them, run 3 choppers in my field where I need to run them for the same price as I would cost me to have one brand new one.
Yeah.
Somebody thought that.
Somebody thought
whether that happened when they were doing that, but somebody was
right.
thinking that.
Somebody thought that, but the thing is, there in my field, and the guy who owns a chopper, that's a very thin group of people.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
That's also a group of people that doesn't visit the auction world typically.
Not very often.
Typically, because they are
Yep.
pleasured and adored by the new world.
Because the sell on Monday was
for a guy who has enough acres, he's going to buy 399 hundreds at an auction and let her rip.
You never know.
That guy's a healthy multi-unit guy. So,
but you have the other side of that too. That I think, as you look at that too, is that the first one was a dealer's consignment auction,
right?
Kibble, and then you had the second one was a custom cutter. I don't remember who it was, but that's what it was. So, A lot of interesting thing to watch on that. I found that interesting that those 3 machines with those 3 distinct hour ranges that you saw there, where they were all about 100 hours apart, brought as much money as close as they were, considering how low the hours were, that they brought the same number, the prices were as close as they were, is what I'm trying to say. Right. You would think there had been more of a spread there, but it wasn't. So, all right.
Now,
let's go to the X9.
The Combine. Not that I like or have anything to do with combines on a daily damn basis. However,
I've been waiting for this day with bated breath, where that this is that time of the year when we start seeing those things pop up. This late August,
last
early
second
September,
harvest auction.
yeah. And this is where those kind of fall into, and then you have that lull till about into October, into November, where it really takes back off again, right? Now there'll be plenty of auctions in September and October. Don't get me wrong, but the real crux of the auction componentry happens mid-October through the end of the year. Right? So now here, I've been waiting for this X9 thing to pop up and watch one sell and see what happens. Again, the same scenario we talked about the chopper, where it was buy one get one free, and then all of a sudden everybody decided to go bid on it at the last possible minute, ran up to $500,000. If I'm the dealer on that one, I feel pretty goddamn good about the $500,000 price on that machine.
There better be high fives and chest bumps for days.
Because I was anticipating 475. That was the number I was thinking on the very high side of this. That 475 was going to be the number that was there, and to see 450 wouldn't have shocked me.
Right.
But for it to be for it to get to 500, and not just get to 500, but just kind of peek its head over it.
Just enough.
I was. That tells me that there is a combine combine problem out there, but you still watch even like the 780s and the Class 8 cases and the classes that are selling that are newer, later, lower model, lower hour stuff, and you watch what they're doing. It's not like the combine market is super soft it's not gangbusters like it was during COVID by any means that you saw in these all-state sales. But what you're seeing now is it's not where I thought I would see it at this time of the year.
Okay. My interjection to that would be, first of all, when you're dealing with an X9, that's the second one I know of at auction. There's one at the end of this month that'll make 3 or 4. I think there's 2 yet.
Yep.
They're an oddity. That's the second X9. I think the first one was a tracked 1,000, and this one was a tracked.
You're right. I do remember
1,100,
seeing
right?
that one. Yeah.
It was like one of those.
Yep.
Machine repeat.
Yeah.
I
remember seeing
highlight
that.
deals.
Yeah.
The other thing.
Sold in the Boot Hill, Missouri, if I remember right.
See, I was thinking northern Iowa, northeast Iowa, where they pay $11 billion for ground.
They do pay a fair amount for ground up there. They really do.
Welcome to Sioux County. That'll be $365,000 an acre. So you have several things. One, perfect. As the chopper was a little late, that's perfect for the combine.
Sure.
Perfect. Got just enough time to get her home, get her green lighted.
Yep.
Here's your $30,000 bill. Well, thank God it's only got 600 SEP. Shit.
Right.
And you got time to get her to the field this year, and that's what always made the harvest auction so appealing is you can sell your big ticket items. Sucks for us.
Right.
Because they don't ever bring what you want.
Right.
But they're gone. You're not carrying them next year. And for the guy buying, they might bring just a tick more because he doesn't have to haul it home and put it in the shed.
Sure.
He's going to run it right damn now.
Make his money. Yeah.
Right. That thing is going to go earn its keep
Yep.
right damn now.
Yep.
So, the biggest factor in that number is the oddity piece.
Sure.
Second number would be timing. Good job, guys, whoever it was. The other thing, as you were mentioning Klaus machines, I would throw S7s, S7.8s, S7.9s, 90 250s, 80 250s, all of the 8s and bigger combines. Okay. If you are putting a 2-wheel drive one of those with duals, every option on earth, but just regular old duals and 2-wheel drive, you're going to understand this shitty market. But when you have the tracks and you have this and you have that, what I would call premium level machines, or just every option in the book rigs, yes, they're gonna break the trend a little bit, because you got, instead of 5 guys that decided, let's buy that and sell our 16 680, you got 10 guys that want that combine, because one of two things: there's not one for 200 miles around home.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it is the oddity, the specialty, whatnot. And then you have the other group that is, okay, if that thing was listed, the deal buyer.
Yeah.
The guy if that thing was listed online, it'd be $750. I got it for $500.
Right, yeah, sure. That was also...
And it probably was.
I'm sure it probably was.
You could probably get online right now and find one in 30 seconds.
Oh, sure, 100%. But I also think the one thing about the combine that I watched sell was, it was a 2-year-old combine. It was 2020. It had it had the hours it had on it. That's what surprised me about the $500,000 deal.
The hours.
The hours in the year, right?
The hours. The year, not as much as the hours. When you get...
You get past 500, yeah.
You get over that 5, and that is a big damn cliff.
Right. So now when I'm looking at that, and I watched the 780 sale, and what they brought, the 2021, the 2022 780s they had, that to me they did not, again, I don't think they represented what I would consider to see what I would call a quote-unquote soft market. With as many combines that are out there, and then the value that we see in these machines, I was shocked to the upside of the value of the combine, and not, they all went for more than I expected.
Because here would be my guess why you of all people think that way.
Okay, I'm here.
Because you look at things from that very most important number in our world, dealer cost new. Okay. So from that standpoint, yes. There was a cliff, but we survived. We're banged up.
Right.
Nobody got life flighted, that kind of deal. If you look at what ask price is, because of all the batshit craziness that was 2022, and it even hit combines of all damn things, and guys thinking all of a sudden they were worth a mint. Those numbers are still out there, a lot of them.
Sure. Oh yeah.
So when you look at those 780s brought, it sucks.
Yeah.
When you're analyzing it properly, like you are, dear sir, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
but that's not the market we're coming out of, which makes right now suck that much more. Because if everybody was kind of dialed in and a little cautious for that 18 months of prosperity that we all loved and adored,
sure.
Unless you're a used equipment only salesman, then thank God everything's on a downturn. But why? Why did things, why?
Yeah. I think
because 15 through 18 hurt, 15 through 19, those 4 years hurt that bad, so we're going to give you list price for your trade-in 780?
Well, I mean...
Oh, hell, it'll sell.
We had a lot of podcasts.
Let's rent our way out of it.
Well, yeah, we had you and I talked about this on several podcasts where we were talking about...
It's a hot button issue for me.
Well, but we talked about from the perspective of, you make hay when when the sun shines.
Right.
Man, that's what was happening, you know. Now, we also talked about all the cautionary signs we need to pay attention to start pulling back the reins on that.
No matter how much you want to analyze the data, the shit happens overnight, man.
But that's what we were.
I'm pretty connected, and in April it was like, it's softening, but oh shit, not that.
It doesn't really happen overnight.
I mean,
I think people wake up one morning and they're like, holy shit.
In the scheme of a human living 80 years, it's overnight. I would say a month.
Yeah.
month that it truly actually happens. A lot of reactionary details are within a 6-month period.
But I think that's the point that I'm making is that nothing happens overnight.
No.
It's when you finally wake up and you realize, like, same conversation you have with every sales guy and every store manager and even I'm guilty of this too. That machine's been here for 6 months already?
Well, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's also not sanity.
But I'm just saying, like, what I'm saying is that the course of just everyday.
Do you think that's propelled us into a healthier standard, though?
Well, I think
for the dealers that were already aggressive, it will. But for the ones who choose to think that their stuff's worth more just because, I don't think it will. It will.
Look, there's some people out there that have a approach to used equipment and selling new equipment that is, you know what? Hey, we've got this reserve fund over here. We're going to go do X, Y, and Z with it, and that's how it's going to work. And if we got to, this is what we need to do to make the deal happen, blah, 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 blah. So whatever it is whatever it is. You got other dealers that are, hey, this is what the market's at. This is how we're going to do it. Let the chips fall where they may type of thing. And I'm not saying one way's right, one way's wrong, but what I'm saying is that trying to find two dealerships out there that are going to sit across from you and tell you that I'm doing exactly what you're doing because it makes a lot of sense, and you're doing exactly what I'm doing because it makes a lot of sense, just doesn't exist, man.
No.
Now everyone's kind of doing little bits and pieces of everything else that everybody else is doing, but at the end of the day, dude, it's not some, like, everybody's on the same page doing the same
thing. Hell no.
And it never will be. And there's not a dealership on the planet of anything, whether we're talking Ford pickups or John Deere Combine. It doesn't matter. We're never going to have that.
One of those two guys has a lot of time on his hands and ain't the Combine guy.
But they have, when you're looking at just the overall kind of
poor guy walks home every night. I don't want another demo.
If you're looking at how all that stuff comes together, I mean, I don't know, man. I think there's a bigger process in place when you're looking at that, and how and what a lot of it too is what risk are some of these people willing to take, and I think that's probably a bigger way they manage some stuff too.
So that's your comment to my thing. Like, why didn't you learn the first time? They're just taking a bigger risk.
Taking a bigger risk this time around. Yeah.
Okay.
And
they didn't auction any 24-0 planners or 12 and 13 S series combines. They were that one or two dealers that did.
Oh no, they were the same ones. They were the same culprits doing the exact same thing. Now, all that being said, I will say this it's hard to sit there and say that when you brought a 1-year-old combine in and you put a 5 in front of it for the first time.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean? Like, no one knew what that was going to look like.
I did.
Or how that was going to play out.
I did.
Or what any of that looked like. Now my camera's all jacked up.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
We're back in the game.
I do have a waist. Hi, everybody.
But you had, I mean, no one knew what that was going to look like, right? Nobody knew what
I once almost got kicked out of our corporate office for this incredibly loud and boisterous, sit down for that one, rant how we will never sell an effing combine for $300 wholesale ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I remember that.
What are you thinking?
And
Just
I
lost my damn mind.
And I snickered about that when you did that.
I was right for like 3 months, though. Then we got closer to weed harvest and well, shit let loose.
They break loose. So now, I don't know.
But I had that feeling with 5. I'm like, it's used. Like, let the I love new equipment. Let them chase that. Everything's $500,000. Stay out of my world.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. 8Rs, combines, planters.
Yeah. Yep. Sprayers. I mean,
Yeah, sprayers.
just run down the list. I mean,
Exact Supply, See and Spray Ultimate, blah, 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 on a 616R. Hold on.
yep.
Would you like to buy 3/4 of ground or this sprayer?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Get out your hose, boys.
they have got. So I think that played a big part into this whole, where we at in the marketplace type of thing. Because
This is just because you're so smart and I'm not. For the audience, this has been, once we have hit that magic 5 in the used world, is the first time, as someone who lives and breathes used equipment 7 days a week, 6 for sure. This is the first time that downward pressure from the new, I actually feel is legit. When combines jumped to 3 because of downward pressure from the new, I was like, bullshit. They're worth what they're worth. Eventually, that gap has to get filled somewhere, and it sucks the used up.
Well, I think what you're talking
Because the new ain't getting any cheaper.
Well, what you're explaining is how what I've been talking about with customers that are, you have a new buyer, you have a 1 to 3 year old buyer, you have a 3 to 5 year old buyer, you've got a so on and so forth down the line. Those guys, they're stuck in those buckets,
Right.
right? So if you're a 1 to 3 year old buyer, or 1 to 2 year old buyer, I'm sorry, this is what it costs to buy that machine,
Right.
right? If you're a 3 to 5 year old buyer, this is what it costs to buy that machine. And there's no like
22 was a lot different than 21.
the 3 to 5 can't jump up to the 1 to 2 because they just don't have the equity, or they can't make it quite come together, or this doesn't make sense for the acres that they're doing, or whatever it is. But they can't go down either because that's what they're trading in. Right. So, and the same with the 1 to 2 year old guy. They can't get a new one because, again, it doesn't quite make sense or whatever it is. But they can't go down to a 3 to 5 year old one because that's what they're trading in. So they're like stuck in these buckets that are going to, and to me, a little bit where that's the difference. The differentiation now, I think, in my opinion, is I think you're going to see used equipment values in those specific buckets, those areas where people have it, are going to be way more consistent.
More bucketized than they have been.
I mean, they're just going to be like, there's not going to be the willy-nilly guy that has a 10-year-old combine. Now he's going to go buy a 1-year combine. I'm not saying those guys don't exist, but it's just, you're not going to see that. Someone's not trading in a $40,000 9770 and they're going to go buy a $450,000 or $500,000 combine.
Right.
Now, when they had a $45,000 9600, right, and that was cash, and you could go buy a 9770 because you had your 20% down. You know what I mean? You could go buy a brand new 9770, you had your 20%.
Right.
That was your 20% down.
Your 20% down is now 497.70.
Yeah, so now you're looking at this guy over here that takes this $40,000 or $50,000 or whatever, and he doesn't even have 10% yet on the
Yeah.
And not only does he have to come up with another $80,000 or $90,000 to get to the other part of his 20% down. I mean, it's just like a whole thing now. You know what I mean? It's like, so now you're starting
A
to
$500,000 combine's $100,000 down payment, man.
I mean, so now you start looking at all that, and then, but now
Do you want to buy a 14,680, or do you want to put down payment on a 22?
But then you shackle that 20% down with 8.5% or 8.5, 7 or 8% interest. You almost put you got to put almost 30% down. So at the end of your 5 years at that same rate, you have 20% interest or 20% equity.
Yeah. The second you can punch out,
Yeah.
here.
I mean, and you're it's just keeping it's changed so much that I just think the way the customers look at what they're doing and how they're doing it is locking in these columns
Right.
of what they can and can't do, and how they move inside those columns. You know, because some of these guys, you think about some of these guys, they're trading in a. Let's just talk about. Let's throw an S780. I mean, you have between 2018 and today.
Yeah, that's a big gap.
You know what I'm saying?
There is. It's funny you mentioned that.
So some guy might be trading into
that. That's probably my hot button piece of machinery right now. 780s. Okay. There are. I have seen it. $300,000 gaps.
Yeah.
There's never been another model of anything ever that's had $300,000 gap in what it is.
Yeah, and the thing about that too is,
And they haven't built them for 10 years, man.
that's exactly right. So if you're looking at some of this stuff, and you're having some of these conversations with guys,
We are in the most blow your damn mind world. Nothing makes sense. You just keep rolling with it.
some of these guys,
Pivot and go.
they might have traded 3 780 combines. Man,
Yeah.
they could have traded in the 18. Was it 17 or 18?
18.
18. They could have got a 20, and now they could be working on the 2022 new or the waiting for that 23 to come in that just got delivered after
Yep.
corn season's done. You know, so and to your point, there's a hell of a spread between what a used 2023 is going to be and what a used 2018 is going to be.
Dramatic.
And I think that, back to my point. I'm making,
Although, I will say this. That number in August of 23 is a hell of a lot tighter than it was in August of 22.
Oh, sure. 100%. 100%.
That was easily 300 in August of 22. I bet it's 200 now.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. That's something that's worth paying attention to. But I just think as you're looking at these customers, and whether you're listening to this podcast and you're a dealer guy or you're a customer listening to this deal, take a hard look and think about what it is that you're looking at when you're going to look at a piece of equipment. And what were you doing? What was Dad doing and Grandpa doing, 10 or 15 years ago when they were thinking about these decisions? I think that to me is just a hard differentiation in between how much this market has just changed. And I think that's the thing there. So.
Well, not everybody, vast majority. I mean, I know guys my age or a little younger who grew up in who's John Deere credit. We just write a check. And that's how they did it. Mm-hmm. When they afforded something, they upgraded, and okay, that cash is gone. Combines don't have to wait till next year. Okay, we did the combine, but we can't do the heads too.
Right.
And that's how they did it. It was digestible. It was wonderful. Now we are on, and I think it's because of tech, we are on such a push for new, now. Everything is a payment-driven market.
Yeah.
So you used to have even your largest of multi-unit deals still used to be a write a check, transaction, done deal, whatever. Those have converted to leases now.
Yeah. For
the most part. And the dealer is then involved heavier. And that's where we're at. Because of, it's just like in the early 2000s when a certain seed company started touting this planting window, and it's apparently 30 seconds long. So I want to say that was maybe the late 2000s. What happened in the early 2010s? Oh yeah, everybody went and bought 157,000 24-row planters, and then we found out what happens. Because now what? The guy who had a 12 bought a 24. The guy who bought a 16 bought a 24.
Right.
What do you do with all these used 24s apparently
You have an auction.
they all landed in the ocean somewhere, and now all of a sudden they're desirable again. But that's the kind of thing that happens. So we're in this cost per acre, and nothing matters more. I get it. I'm not getting into farming finances because I am not the guy to talk about that. My answer to that is sell more combines. Doesn't work for every farm. But you have so much of that cost per acre that legitimately so many of the large buyers and even the intermediate buyers, I would say the B plus on up, the price of the machine does not matter. And as a machinery salesman, great job, everybody. Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
All that matters is the trade price and how you wash that out over your cost per acre, cost per hour, and so on. And that's all legitimate. But there was always that pause for caution from Grandpa, who, you're still here after 1938.
Right.
That man better not walk anywhere. You better carry him. And you have Dad, who put up with that.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And is a boomer.
Yeah.
And all that goes with that. And, well, yeah, you'll be in charge when I die. I'm like,
Yeah.
that works. You have that world. There was always that pause for caution of, well, that all makes sense, but let me look at, okay, ours is worth that, but yours is worth that. Like, that doesn't compute. No matter what the numbers washed out at, you can make it look like, and you can do that. Back to that magic pencil, you can make it look like that 400 AFS Connect Magnum is paying you to run it.
Right.
I've seen spreadsheets like that.
Yeah.
But
You have to.
at the end of the movie, there was always that pause. Like, right now, I think like those guys think. Okay, the dad, the grandpa, because my dad is the grandpa, and I get that with the whoa, like that's all the payment is, great. It's worth this, great. Then, but ours is worth this and yours is worth that. Enter in the current world we're in, where guys are buying this $500,000 stuff and not trading. So much not trading. Do you think
A lot of cash in the farm right now, though.
there is?
That's different.
But you come from the yellow world, the yellow iron world, okay? Kind of. Same roof. And you have always mentioned how different that is because you have Werner Construction. They don't own that. They're leasing that. They're renting that for that job, which in our world is that multi-unit, 1-year lease, 2-year lease, what have you. So, do you think ag is eventually going that way?
Well, I think autonomous.
And I don't mean, I'm not getting into autonomy.
I
mean where there's not trades.
Well, there's always trades. It's just how you handle those trades and what you do with them. I think that's the biggest difference in that, in what you're talking about.
But that's what I mean. So many farmers are capitalizing for the last 2 years on this ridiculous market for the under $400,000 machines that a lot of them are just selling it themselves. They're rolling the dice.
They are now. They were, but they're not doing it now.
They still are. They still are.
But not to the level of success that they have.
Maybe not the level of success, but I'm saying they're still doing it.
But they can still do it now because there's still just enough money out there that say, I want an extra combine or I want an extra row crop tractor. I don't have anything to trade in. I'm willing to buy that.
So you think it's just still due to the cash on farm?
Yeah, because one or two things happen. One is
more so than that's where the industry's going.
Well, all these guys are retiring, right?
Right.
So now you've got a group of guys coming in that are they're neighboring. They got the kids coming back. They got the whole deal, and they're going to pick up another 5,000 acres or 4,000 acres.
Well, hell, let's
whatever.
buy Tom's combine.
Yeah, we'll just buy us. We need an extra combine now, right? So that's happening when they have to start looking at how the customers, because all their equities in this machine over here, they got to get liquidated somewhere. Maybe they take the stuff to auction. They liquidate it. They get the capital out of it they want to get, and they go buy whatever they need to, and that's how it works. I don't think that's the way it's going to work. I really don't.
Back to my, as you were sitting there saying that, back to that cost per hour argument. When those guys order new, they know what next year's numbers are.
Sure. Yeah.
So they can plan into that.
Yep.
If they're going to the yellow world, they don't have a clue. You're a year behind on the iron side.
No, on the yellow side, they'll still do the same thing like we do. They've got, but you got to think.
I know, but it's more commonplace in the yellow iron world to be what ag currently is, where you don't have very many trade-ins because the farms are selling it themselves. That's what makes your orange auction company in Canada exist from the get-go.
I think a lot of on the yellow side, and this is me talking, enough to be dangerous here, right? So you have a lot of construction jobs. Well, they'll do some big highway job, and you'll see all that shit running up and down the highway, right? Some of that stuff's in their fleet. Some of that stuff was bought and put into the bid to be paid for from
that lease payment is in that bid.
Well, the whole machine's in that bid. So when they're done with that job, it's paid for.
Oh,
right. There's that avenue too, and then there's the we're going to rent this for the next 3 years to do this job.
Could you imagine if renting farm ground worked like that? Well, we figured in a new X9.
That's the difference.
I just thought it would work.
That's the difference in the two scenarios. Is that
you know what the difference is? Who's paying the road construction guys?
What do you mean? Like
every American citizen.
Yeah.
Who's paying the farmer?
Well, every American citizen that eats.
Well, that's a fucking stretch, but that's like him and the landlord. In that scenario, it's him and it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot smaller.
So, I think one other thing, and we'll quit belaboring this thing, is that another reason I think that we're seeing, to your point, why it's shifted away from, hey, we're gonna do tractor, and then we're gonna do a combine, then we're gonna do the heads, and then we're gonna do some tillage pieces, and then we're gonna come back and do a tractor, and it's a 5-year thing that we're doing. Two things. One is 10 years ago, we can sit and argue this all you want to, that the machinery during that time frame, if you bought a 2000 model or 2005 model 20 series tractor, 8420, and then you went and you waited and you bet in 2012 you bought the first 30 series that came out, right? 8530.
That'd been 06.
The 30 series?
Yeah, first year.
I'm thinking the first R. That's what I'm thinking.
09.
Yeah. So that came through there, and you walked through this whole thing. What's the difference between an 8420 and an 8530?
Right now? Like open market?
No. I'm just saying like you're buying, like if you had the last year of a 20 series, the first year of a 30 series, what's the difference?
Like new price back then?
No, I'm just saying like in general, like what's the difference? Like
what difference are you looking for?
So you're looking at specs and technology and all the other stuff.
235 to 275. So you got 40 horsepower, ILS guaranteed versus optional, IVT versus power shift. Those are the biggest ones. Power, front axle, transmission.
Today, the difference between a piece of equipment, doesn't matter if it's the last series of a generation or not, the next year there's more technology available than there was the year before. So now,
because the technology in that 8420 could have been ordered with a valve on it.
Sure.
The 8530 came with a valve on it,
right,
unless you deducted it for some
And a lot of people did.
God-foreseen reason.
And they put it right back on.
Right. So you got that difference there.
Sure.
But that was literally, Casey, that was literally it for tech. They had the same radio, the same side panel over here, the same finger buttons. Everything was the same.
Now you're looking at
They
a
both
machine.
have hoods that the vents break out in.
So now when you're looking at a guy that want to upgrade something now, I think it's the readily available supply of technology that we see.
Yeah.
That you
It's
can
almost
upgrade.
like buying a tractor now is a tech advancement for your farm.
Yeah, it's buying hardware, computers and shit. So as I look at it, sitting here, the reason why is they're not cutting checks like they had been in the past.
Right.
One, it's a cash flow thing, right? You're not writing a $50,000 check and paying off the difference now. You're writing a $350,000 check to pay off the difference. And I think that is where a lot of this stuff.
Well, I guess we'll finance it. It's only 9%.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, if you're thinking about it from that perspective, I mean, yeah, they're going to put the 20% down, and they're going to finance whatever, $250,000 or whatever the number is, you know. I mean, but at the end of the day, you aren't cutting a check that's $25,000 or $50,000 or
Right.
I mean, the days of some of these times when I first started doing this and I was evaluating combines, we were trading for like $25,000,
Right.
and then people were like scrambling and blowing their just like, how are we ever supposed to make this work? You know what I mean? And now we're like where we're at now. I mean, it's just a whole different scenario, and I think that is what the drive to look at what we're doing is. If I have a 5-year-old machine and I want to upgrade to a 1-year-old machine or something like that, the difference in the powertrain and all that shit might be the same, but the difference of what you have on this machine versus what's on this machine, we are just now like cracking the door open to, oh, cool, we can do an upgrade kit and do X to this machine now.
Right.
Sort of. We can sort of make this machine like this one over here. Pretty close, right? We can do everything except Y, right?
Right.
You know? In 3 or 4 years from now, it's going to be like we can do everything to this 20-year-old machine that we can do to this machine over here. And I think that is that's changing the way people think about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I got to believe that somebody's out there going right now like, this is going to be the last planter that I buy because I can upgrade it to the newest, latest, greatest technology whenever I'm ready to do that.
Only if that guy's 65 or older.
What do you mean?
Guys are only going to run a bar so many years. They'll still trade just because.
No, but I'm saying like what I'm saying is they're not going to buy a new planter. They might go to Orthman and get a new bar and hang the row units off of it.
Oh, you're talking like that componentized.
Yeah.
Oof.
You know what I mean?
I think we're further from that than you think
I don't
because
think
the
so.
manufacturer
still
wants to manufacture.
I don't know, man.
I know they're involved in the kits and whatnot, but they are
manufacturing the kits.
I understand that. They still get their jollies off of a full unit. Trust me. The kits is a necessary evil from their standpoint.
I disagree with that 100%.
I don't.
And the reason I say that,
because you think that's where the industry is going.
I don't. I think that that manufacturers look at those kits and say we can make a similar profit margin at a lower price point and open that door to selling upgrade kits to everybody and not the 1% that can afford a $600,000.
But it comes back to my argument when we talked about this on previous podcasts. The guys who can afford that kind of dollars that the kit itself is, talking planter specifically, because that's our best analogy right now. The guys who can afford that for their planter they already got, they're spending that just because. Half of those are your new buyers.
Yeah, but
who are still going to buy new because it's new. Just because it's new. Because of ego, because of the neighbors, because of whatever.
That is going away.
It's not.
It is.
It's
it
not.
Is slowly eroding away.
It's not.
And the reason I say that is
When our generation, we're the same age. When our generation is the 55 plus crowd, watch out. That's probably everything. That's probably the world we live in. The boomers have way too much pride in everything they do to let that happen.
But everybody right now is operating on such fine.
I understand that.
Fine lines of profitability.
Yep.
That
and
I can buy. I can buy a brand new one for, let's say I buy a brand new 24-row planter with fertilizer systems and everything on it for $450,000, right? And last time I priced one out, it's about what it was. You can buy the upgrade kit with the new fertilizer system for damn near half that. Which one are you going to do?
Dude, I'm just telling you.
I'm not disagreeing with you that there's not people out there that want the brand new iron.
You have too much.
God bless.
The bulkier people, you're just going to have too much farmer thought in there. And I don't mean that as a negative thing. I just mean that as a group of people. Man, that bar's been over a lot of acres. Them wheel, could be the damn hitch pin hole, man.
That's no different than someone buying a 10-year-old planter at an auction.
I'm just saying.
That's
what's.
It's the same thing.
It's gonna be when it gets to more of the corporate farm structure. Yes, your pups, they're gonna take off. They're gonna scorch the earth because everything is just dollars. When our generation and older, and I'm including ours in there because there's a lot of old money that's going to float our generation in ag. We know this.
Right.
Okay. Our generation will piss away whatever Grandpa gave them. But there's just, that is the wave when we get there, when it's robots and whatnot, and I'm sitting here going, God, I should have paid attention in those meetings. How do you set an AB? What the hell's an AB line? When we get to that point, yes, they'll take off scorched earth. But until we get there, and that is a ways off, I'm talking 20 years.
I don't think it's that far away, dude.
Until that is the number one thing. Not that they exist. They're going to keep growing in popularity till they flip the switch. But it's a big uphill climb just because there is too much. Yeah, I don't know. I think we ought to just get a whole new planter. But here, let me show you why. Yeah, I just think that's the way to go. Does it make any sense? No. Half of what takes place doesn't.
I think
there's too much pride in it. That's the generation that still is a little drives by, even though they punch that button on the screen, still drives by and goes, you remember such and such used to have the straightest rows? Now everybody's rows look the damn same.
I think that is what you're talking about is quickly eroding.
I think it's eroding slower than you think.
I don't think so. And here's why I don't think that. I think the price of equipment is eroding it faster than you want to make it out to be.
I think you will just go from that guy used to buy new to he's a 1 to 3 now.
With an upgrade kit.
Nope.
Yep. We're going to disagree on that one. All right. That's probably a good place to stop, man. Folks want to reach out to you, Aaron, get more information on what you're doing, find you on the Twitterverse. What's the best way to do that?
Well, as the man said, pretty active on the Twitterverse at @AARonFintel. Also on Facebook, and I think that Snapchat.
You on the Snapchat, are you?
I'm on the Snapchat about once a month.
You should get on the gram.
It's how I keep track of my children.
Oh, okay. That's a good way.
See? So that's why I'm on the snaps. Not because I'm halfway to 90 and I'm just that cool.
All right.
Also, email me, aaron.fintel@MovingIronPodcast.com, or call me, text preferred, 308-760-1193.
Aaron.fintel@MovingIronLLC.com.
Yeah, that's what I said. Moving Iron, look.
Yeah. I'm Casey Seymour. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Moving Iron LLC. LinkedIn at Moving Iron Podcast. Go to the YouTube channel where you can watch a video version of this, and you can see the cool cows in the background. Check that out.
And a bed.
And a bed, oddly enough. And they have...
we're all out of forks, but we got spoons.
They have... so check it out there if you want to see all that fun stuff. We've got MovingIronLLC.com for everything Moving Iron related. All the blog posts and everything should be up there. I'm really bad about getting those posted. So,
and in less than a month, what happens, dear sir?
Moving Iron Summit.
Bam!
Yeah.
The summit.
We're going to go to Nashville, and there's going to be us and like 62 brides, what do you call those things?
Bridal party.
Bachelorette
party.
Yeah. Bachelorette parties are going to be like, oh, God, it's so fun. I'm so wasted now.
Maybe not on a Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah,
though.
maybe not. But
maybe not so much. They're the ones getting on the plane when we land. Like, God,
I am so wasted right now.
Don't tell anybody. It's all over your
Yeah.
Instagram. What?
Yeah. So good times there. Good times. All right, dude. We probably should do one of these more often.
We should. We should go to a random hotel in Colorado and have a little sit down. Whoa.
I don't know where that's going.
Wow.
All right then. All right, dude. Any last
We're
thoughts?
almost done with haying season, so I'm back. I'll be
back in the game.
Back to co-hosting.
Yeah.
A little more regular.
More regularly.
More regular. Yeah. Seeing as how once every 2 months is not very regular, I can probably beat that once we're done haying.
Probably.
We're on downhill slope.
Downhill slope. All right,
Turn
man.
sideways to eject the baler, it'll crash into the baler.
Yeah. Good points. All good points you just made right there.
There you go.
All right, man. Any last thoughts?
No. Let her rip.
All right. With that, Casey Seymour and Aaron Fennell. It's going to be Smiring out.